back. We're moving into our second conversation for this morning and keeping it in line with the aftermath of Hurricane Lisa. In to talk to us is the General Manager at the RF&G Insurance, Andrew. Good morning.
Good morning.
And of course, we're having the conversation as to what happens now that Hurricane Lisa has come and gone, and there's so many people that have their homes uprooted from right under their feet. Talk to us about what RF&G Insurance is doing.
Yeah, so it's, as you know, as we all know, this has been an extensive, or the damage from this storm is quite extensive, particularly to the Belize city area and surrounding villages, Ladyville, Hattieville, Boom, Los Lagos, all of those areas. I think it's a bit fortunate that this was a very small storm in terms of wind speeds. We haven't seen the official Met report yet, but we understand that hurricane force winds only extended maybe 20 miles across the entire hurricane. So that meant that San Pedro, Key Caulker, Dangriga, Placencia, and inland a little bit more into Belmopan seem to have been, for the most part, spared. Yeah. But the devastation in Belize City and surrounding areas is pretty intense. So what we have started doing at RF&G is we managed to open up on Friday, and all staff who didn't have major damage to their homes, because some did, came to work, and we just began the process of trying to get as many claims in through the front door as possible. Our staff have been calling out clients. We've been on the ground since Friday, and we've not stopped yet. So it's we have a good feel of what the situation is. It's a little bit reminiscent of Hurricane Earl, which hit in 2016. Not much different, other than a much smaller storm. So as I said, the damage isn't as widespread. But people still had, upwards of 5 and 6 feet of water through their homes. As we've all seen, a lot of people lost their roofs. A lot of people have some major damage. So what we're doing at the moment is just trying to prioritize those clients who have severe damage, total roof losses, 6-foot inundation of storm surge, and we're trying to get to them quickly, get them some money in their pockets so they can begin that repair process. And then we're working our way down the line.
And when we talk about hurricanes and hurricane preparedness, we talk about things like having supplies. We don't often include insurance in that conversation. Yeah. So can you talk a bit about the importance of that as part of your preparedness plans and the types of, insurance coverage you can get?
Yeah, I mean, there's insurances, and we talked a little bit before the show started, that insurance is something that you have to have some measure of income in order to afford it. And that is just simply not there for everybody. We know that there's extensive non-insured losses that have taken place as a result. I think I heard the Prime Minister yesterday referencing a number around 20 million Belize dollars that's going to be needed to put back infrastructure. I'm not sure if that includes damage to people's homes where they simply don't have the money to do anything about it. But from the point of view of having an insurance product, this is the time where that really pays off. I don't think you'll meet anybody in the country who has an insurance policy, a hurricane insurance policy, who says, man, I wish I hadn't paid that insurance premium. I think it's something that where people can afford it, it should definitely be part of your annual budget of how do I pay for this insurance policy, because when, you can't say if, because the truth is it's a when, a hurricane comes and causes damage to your home. That insurance policy is there to take care of some of the damages. It doesn't cover all, because there's deductibles and it doesn't cover everything, but at least it's money that you can use to start putting your house back together, your business back together, and try to move on with life as quickly as possible.
Do you think that Belizeans in general take insurance seriously?
That's a good question. I think there is definitely a big cohort of people who have. I think Hurricane Hattie had for sure, Hurricane Hattie was a defining moment in the history of this nation. And we can talk about the socio-economic impacts of that storm and the impact on people's psyches. But there's a big cohort of Belizeans who that insurance policy for them is gold, because they know that one day something's going to happen and they keep paying for it. We have seen, of course, there's people who don't believe in it. Maybe their family's experience with Hurricane Hattie or any storms after that wasn't there. Maybe they don't have that kind of ancestral knowledge that's been
Yeah.
passed down. And so there are people who don't believe in it. There's also people who feel, I live inland, or my house is well built. I don't need to worry about it. And the truth is, there's definitely truth to that. If you're inland, you're away from the storm surge. The wind impact's going to be a little less, but nonetheless, there's still that risk. And of course, insurance products are priced appropriately. If you live inland, you're going to pay less premium than somebody who lives on the coast or on one of the keys.
I want to kind of just continue this conversation along the lines of Lisa in the wake of, in the aftermath. And majority of the homes that were lost and just completely uprooted are from those, lower in economic societies that can't afford insurance. So in the wake of this, how does RF&G respond to that kind of situation? Because everybody says insure your home,
Yeah.
but if I can't insure my home, how can you even help me?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is insurance companies are there to help their customers and the
Yeah.
people who pay the insurance premiums.
Right.
There's not much insurance companies can do for the uninsured. And so that's really where the social programs come in. That's where hopefully the government has the ability to step in and start to assist people. But it brings to the forefront, with the whole climate change conversation that's taking place as we speak at COP27, the need for us to become more climate resilient, because these sorts of things are going to happen more and more frequently.
Yeah.
And the impact to low-income households is going to become more and more in focus. And so, I think there needs to be good public-private partnership between the insurance companies as well as the government. We do have a ministry that looks after disaster risk management, and we need to start figuring out how can we start developing micro insurance products that are available for lower income households or people who maybe have small businesses and subsistence lifestyles, that they can purchase at least minimal insurance products so that when these sorts of things happen, there's some safety net in place. Of course, they're not going to be able to afford full coverage for everything, but at least it's a start. It can get them moving back onto their feet, and then any other government assistance that might be available or social assistance that might be available can come and top that off. But this is a conversation that needs to be had. Of course, once Hurricane Lisa is one in the books, we need to start looking more closely at how do we, as a country and as a society, start to put financial mechanisms in place to help the majority of our population.
You said full coverage, right? So in terms of, for the customers that have been coming to RF&G from since Friday, are they aware of the plans that they have for them, that they think that they have full coverage and perhaps they don't? What is the advice that you all are giving your customers right now?
I mean, when customers come in, of course, we look at their policy and we start, the first thing we do is explain, this is what your policy covers, this is the deductible. Ideally, that conversation is had before we have this storm. The last thing you want is to find out. Yes, they do. Yes. Yeah. And we do try to do a good job of making sure people are aware. As you said, they do forget. I always think back to my first experience with an insurance company, my own company. I wasn't working there at the time, but I had no idea of how insurance worked or what it was, and I just trusted whatever my insurance advisor said. I took that policy, I threw it in the glove compartment of my car, and I never looked at it again, right? But if something came up, that's when I would start to be wondering, well, what am I covered for? What can I do now? And so we always try to have those conversations, as I said before somebody buys a policy, so that they're fully aware of what it is that will happen when the policy has to be called upon.
And I guess for the benefit of some of our viewers who let's say they may be interested now, especially in the wake of Lisa, can you talk to us just about what the process of getting insured is? To say that, let's say somebody says, well, now I want to insure my home, and they want to go to RF&G. What does the process involve?
Yeah, the first thing is to speak to one of our representatives or an RF&G insurance agent. We have agents across the country, and so you speak with them, let them know what assets you have, what you own, and they'll tailor make a policy for you to say, okay, this is what type of coverage we can put in place for you. Here's the cost for it. And then we can, if the person accepts the quote, then we can put them on cover. There's usually a survey that's done afterwards, a survey of the property. I know I've been on this show maybe a few months ago with you guys, and just talking about the issue of average and cost inflation in construction and how that's impacted insurance policies. And so we try to get all the properties that we insure surveyed, at least just for the square footage, so that we can help the person make sure that they are adequately insured. The last thing you want, again, is when claim time comes, is to be told, okay, well, you're not fully insured, and now as a result, you're not going to collect the full amount of your claim.
Yeah.
But that's why we've been trying to get that message out there pretty much since June, so that people were aware that if something like this happened, we'd be able to put them back as fully as possible.
Given the light of the current situation of Hurricane Lisa and the impact that it had, and regardless of anything, any other hurricane that comes, majority of the country does get affected, whether you live in Belize City or in other parts. But particularly for Belize City, there were so many homes and businesses that are right along the coast that got affected. Yeah. When somebody tries to take out an insurance policy or tries to apply for an insurance policy, and you go along to these coastal areas to see where they're trying to set up shop or build their home, what is the advice that you provide to them? Because that is a risky move for anybody living or trying to make a business. So what is the advice that RF&G insurance gives?
Anybody who's living along the coastline should definitely take into consideration the potential impact of storm surge.
Right.
It's hard to build for a Category 5 hurricane, that 160 mile an hour storm that may eventually come one day. But if you do your best just to try to build at least several feet off of the ground, make sure that one thing that we have seen a lot of is just people's roofs not well installed. They're just nailed in, it's zinc nailed into the wood. And what happens is, if it's just a nail and maybe they bend it at the end, that's going to rip clean off when you get good breeze. Yeah. So the difference in performance of that versus somebody's roof who's actually screwed down, has a few hurricane straps, is incredible. Most people who had well-constructed roofs didn't suffer much damage, whereas the ones who had poorly constructed roofs did. And the truth is, the cost difference is minimal. It is truly minimal when you're comparing the type of material that you can use. So those are some things that people really should be looking into. Storm shutters as well are a big thing. That stopping a window from blowing out can be the difference between having pretty bad water damage in your home versus no damage. And so these are all things that we try to give guidance to our customers when they ask for it. A lot of people do their own thing, but it's not just insurance companies. There's architects out there who should be thinking about this. The building contractors should be thinking about this. And
but when you are trying to take out a mortgage or a loan, and you are going based on what you can afford, and if I can't afford shutters, I'm going to rule that out from my strategy plan, right? So for the insurance company, when they're assessing a place, what are the chances of my business at the coastal area getting full coverage for insurance? Yeah,
there's insurance available pretty much for any type of property in Belize. I mean, when you start getting into stuff that's big businesses over the water, that starts to get a little funny. If you have only thatch and only wood, you may not be able to get it, but for the most part, there's insurance products available from all the insurance companies for coastal infrastructure. Now, the thing to consider is that, again, climate change is hot on the topic of insurance companies, and the whole world is suffering from increased severity of hurricanes, tornadoes, hailstorms, snowstorms. And it's not, you may be wondering, Andrew, why are you talking about snowstorms? We don't have snow in Belize. But the truth is that a big claim, say in Germany, from hail that destroys hundreds of homes or damages hundreds of homes, impacts the insurance costs of somebody in Belize, because insurance is just one big global pool. And the more that's paid out of that big pool, the more that has to come into it. And so because of these increased severity and increased frequency of all of these natural catastrophes across the globe, we're seeing that insurance costs are going up. And so that was happening before Lisa started, and that's going to probably continue until we get a handle on this whole climate crisis.
And is that something that you've actually also observed, like on the ground in Belize? Because I'm thinking that even just in our lifetime, things, the weathers and systems have been changing. And I know that, for example, in Belize City, even without storms, I know that flooding is something that has become much more prevalent over recent years. So is that something that you've actually been observing and working with at RF&G?
Yeah, it's something we have been observing. There's this new phenomenon called blue sky flooding, and we see it on places like Dean Street. We see it in parts of San Pedro. We've seen it in other parts of Belize City, and what blue sky flooding is really, it's the sea that's beginning to rise higher than it used to, especially when you get tides around the equinoxes, September, October, November. Those high tides are coming every year. They're coming maybe a half inch higher than they did the year before. And so you have no rainfall, but all of a sudden your yard is full of water, and that's seawater. And so these are all things that, yes, we have been monitoring, and we need to be conscious of. And I think, and again, before the show, we were just chatting about Belize City as a whole and why we moved the capital to Belmopan. It's because Belize City was flattened by Hurricane Hattie.
Yeah.
And the day may come where we have to face that very real scenario. So in the meantime, I think we need, as a city, we really need to be thinking, how can we put in infrastructure that's going to help storm-proof and sea level rise proof our city as best as possible. But whenever we're building infrastructure, let's just keep in mind that being at or below sea level is a very bad place to be. We need to be thinking about how do we move some of these important assets a little bit away from the sea so that they're at minimum, a category 1 or 2 hurricane isn't going to flood them and destroy them.
We're talking about insurance and what you all have been up to from since Friday and now, but it's a little too late. My home is destroyed, but can I still apply for insurance?
Yeah, definitely too late to get a claim paid now.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, everybody, like I said, if everyone who had paid their premiums, I'm sure we're happy they had. Yeah. But if you want insurance now, yes, definitely it's available. Again, it's not just RF&G, there's all the insurance companies are out there, and they can assist you with getting an insurance policy for your home, your business, car, whatever it is that you...
But how can I apply at RF&G?
At RF&G, so you can visit our office. Probably not a good time.
No.
We're overloaded with people coming in for claims.
But can I apply online or through WhatsApp?
You can apply through WhatsApp. I think the number is 670-8700. I might get that wrong, but just check our Facebook page or our Instagram page or our website. You can do applications for policies through any of the social media platforms that we're on, or call an agent. There's a lot of agents outside of Belize City, so if you're not in Belize City, you can find them all on Google. They're right there, and they can help you out. They're not dealing with, the ones outside of Belize City aren't dealing with claims, so it's a lot easier to get anything done if you're not on the ground here.
And what's the process like for making a claim? So if you do have coverage, and let's say you got damage to your roof or damage to part of your home or business, what's the first step, and what's the process like?
The first step, as far as RF&G is concerned, is to inform either your agent or the company. You can do it, again, through all of those platforms I just mentioned, through social media, WhatsApp, our website, and you can call in as well. In fact, a lot of our staff are right now just dealing with call-ins to try and open people's claims. So really, we need to be informed that you've had a loss. We do have a notice of loss that can be a form, which can be downloaded from our website or gotten off of WhatsApp. And once you fill that out, you then get into the whole process. Now, we're dealing with hundreds of claims, and as I said, we are prioritizing those ones that are severely damaged, because if you're looking at somebody with maybe just some minor damage to their home versus somebody who's lost a roof, we're really trying to get those people who have lost their roofs and that stuff, at least get them going, and we'll work our way down. So we're just asking that people have a little bit of patience as we move through this process. It's gonna take a little bit of time. But once you're in the queue, RF&G staff will be in touch with you, letting you know what your next steps are, getting estimates We will be inspecting people's properties where necessary and trying to get those claims settled as quickly as possible so that people can get on with their lives, you know?
How long does it take for the insurance to pay out once you've assessed the damages and so forth after the customers have called for their claim?
Yeah, there's no, you know, set amount of time. Each customer is different, each claim is different, but once you have submitted all of your detail, those then go into the payment process. And at the moment, you know, we have started processing payments already. We've already paid out a decent sum of money to people who just need money to get their repairs going. But once you've submitted everything and RF&G has agreed your claim, you should receive a payment in a matter of a few days.
All right. Andrew, is there anything else that our viewers need to be aware of when it comes to RF&G and their claims at this very moment?
I think we covered most of it. I think, like I said, the biggest thing is patience. Just, you know, be there, help us through the process. We're there to help you through the process. If we don't get to you right away, don't stop bothering us. Keep bothering us so that we can help you. But just have a little patience with us. I think, too, for anybody who's listening, it's very important that if you've had any kind of damage, get in contact with your insurance company, whether it's RF&G or somebody else, because each insurance policy has a reporting period of when you can notify the insurance company. And if you report the claim after that period of time, you can be denied the claim on a technicality.
What is RF&G's?
Again, it depends on different policies.
Okay.
Our homeowners policies is at 30 days. For some commercial businesses, it's a little shorter. But just report your claim. Get it done. And I know we've been in contact with customers and they've just been focused on trying to put their houses back together, sweep the mud out of their homes, you know, trying to salvage whatever they can. And honestly, I know that in the back of their mind, they know there's insurance, but they've not done anything. So we're being proactive, reaching out. But for those who are not being reached out to, do report it to your insurance company. You don't want them to say, hey, you reported it 15 days and you should have done it 14. We're not going to pay you.
Yeah, that's the technicalities
Yes.
that you don't want.
People don't like, I mean, we always hear insurance contracts, small print and technicalities. I just want to help you know where the potholes might be so you can jump over them.
Oh, thank you, Andrew, and thank you so much to RF&G
Sure.
for coming in and of course with all the work that you do. If you are a customer of RF&G Insurance and you do have insurance and you want to apply for your claim, you can do so in all their social media platforms and via WhatsApp. Right? Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming in. And be sure to ask your questions to RF&G when you can. We're going to take another break and we'll be right back with our final conversation. Stay tuned.